We're looking at the 446 pack, 4-speed, A34 Super Track Pack, Super B, and it's October of 2022. I wanted to give some updates on the car since we posted the first video in February of 2022. So we've owned it for 9 months now, and it's fully disassembled, as you can see. So we want to document the condition of the car. We're going to film inside and out, under the wheel wells and the frame and all that stuff. But one thing we did find out is that the car, they made 599 70 Super B 446 packs with the 4-speed. But this car is more rare than that. You're going to see on the fender tag that it's an early build car. Right here, 8/2 is the scheduled build date. That was 8/2 of 69. So, going back in history, Chrysler would always shut down their plants for the second half of July for retooling, give a mandatory vacation to the plant workers. So, August 1st would be the first production day. So, this M right here in the order number, you can see that. Try zoom in. There we go. M00165. That M signifies that the car was built for manufacturer use. Apparently, Chrysler built 6 of these cars, all the exact same options. A highly optioned car. I think it has every option that was available at that time, except for the right mirror and no gull wing spoiler, but that probably wasn't an option yet. So, Chrysler built 6 of these cars for promotional purposes. I hear to send around regionally to car shows such as the LA Auto Show, the New York Auto Show, and or maybe to send to the magazines for photo shoots, etc. But this is one of 6 that was built for that purpose. You see the let's take a look at the VIN tag inside the door. So you're going to see right here that this has August spelled out fully. The later cars, say in September, you're going to see it's going to say 9 of 69 instead of fully spelling it out like that. It's pretty rare. So the sequence number 418, that means it was the 418th plant car out of the St. Louis plant in August of 69. So St. Louis, they only built B bodies, so Chargers, Coronets, Super Bs, GTXs, Roadrunners, Satellites, Belvederes. So this is the 418th car, not necessarily the 418th Super B. Early production, there's some differences that we found from the later production cars. I'll just point one out real quick. Like for example, this screw hole right here for the lanyards on the hood pins is way far forward. The later cars, the screw hole's back here. So this panel interferes with your lanyard. I think it's going to need a longer lanyard when we get to that point. But, okay, so back up, the statement that we're making that this was a show car. Chrysler, this is the numbers matching engine, first of all. So let's look at the VIN numbers here. See OG 00418. Some of those numbers aren't stamped very deep, but so it's the original 440 to the car. It's 30 over. Has some TRW pistons. I think we can just hone it out and clean it up and put it back together. But it has a WT stamp right here. There's no HP stamp. You see there's the 440. That WT means it was water tested. So before they even put this engine in the car, Chrysler hooked it up on the stand, filled it with water, pressure tested it, and made sure that it was going to run and not blow a head gasket or something when they sent this thing around the country. Whoever was driving it, wherever they were going, promotional events. So let's get into the condition of the sheet metal in the car. It's never had a complete paint job. All the sheet metal appears to be original and nothing's ever been off that I can tell, except for the hood, obviously. Let's climb under here. Okay. First of all, you're going to see that run in the paint. That's a factory run. There's some runs up there too. They weren't too concerned about the paint looking good in the engine bay. There's some more runs. But one of the repairs we're in the process of doing right now is you see the bulkhead right here. Both of the holes were punched out like that. For some reason, some previous owner did that. This one was in the process of being repaired. Had ground it out. What I actually did on that was went to the junkyard and found a 72 Dodge truck. Actually cut some sheet metal out of the firewall. Like here's a remaining dimpled piece out of that truck. So I welded these to a washer and then fitted them in there and MIG welded around with some thin gauge wire, 24 thousandths. And we're just finishing up the Bondo work on that. Here's what the passenger side frame rail looks like. You can see where the battery tray was. I think they painted the cars with the battery tray in, and that's why this paint spot was missed. There's the VIN number. Core support. Everything up in there. Okay, let's get out of here. Okay, you can see how the paint looks. Like they missed. This is pretty common. Everything's black there, and it's not like they taped it off or nothing. It's a little sloppy, but that's never been touched as far as I can tell. What else? Okay, let's go around and look at the inside of the car. So all the floorboards and stuff have never been touched. I wonder what that 5 is right there. It looks like that was a chalk mark. I just noticed that right now. Never even seen that before. Okay. Look how thick this sealer was put on at the factory. Look at all that. So let's go to the other side real quick. Okay, check it out. Here is the inside of that repair that was done by the bulkhead. See the 2 washers welded in right there? Literally, you could not do that repair if the car was not completely disassembled the way it is. Okay, so you probably saw the bullet hole in the previous video, but now we found a second one. Look at that. Now that's not like a car that's just been sitting in the desert and people shooting at the doors and quarter panels. This, I think the passenger must have been a little cuckoo. So, okay. Another thing is there was a hole right here. I had filmed it before and lost that footage. So we can only kind of look at what's been repaired. But there was 2 random, like sawzalled looking holes, or looked like they were cut with a hole saw. They kind of came down like that. The only thing I can make sense of it, kind of adds up with the bullet holes and stuff, is maybe these people were riding dirty, and if they got pulled over by the cops, they figured they can push out of the car right there, whatever they may have been carrying. But apparently this was done a while ago. We got a little rust forming, because water must have been coming in. Thankfully, I missed the transmission. All right, let's look inside the wheel wells. This one has a little bit lighter undercoating than the other side. So I assume at the factory there was 2 different workers, one on each side. And look at how heavy this one is undercoated by comparison. And you can see that panel's never been off. Looking at the bolts right there and there. And that undercoating is completely sealed. Whoops. Fix the adjustment on the light. Okay, let's look at the rocker panels. So this car's never had a complete paint job. You can see how far taken apart it is. What do you guys think? Should we put a paint job on it? Throw it on a rotisserie? Or being that it's 53 years old, never had a full paint job, it has had some touch-up work. What would you do? Would you paint it? Put it in the comments below. I'd like to hear what people have to say. Let's look at this wheel well. Okay, there's the K member. Just had that powder coated. The Dana 60 right here. Somebody welded this wheel studs in the past. It's unfortunate because I wanted to put some longer wheel studs in it for some aftermarket wheels I want to run. Let's get back on subject. Okay, let's look at this quarter panel. Wheel well. This is really cool. You see where they undercoated it at the factory. It hit the original fuel line, which has been changed. And I wish I still had it. I'd be interested to see how the undercoating looked on the factory fuel line. But you can see that part that it missed. Rockers. You see the sloppy paintwork that Chrysler did right here. Sloppy body and paint. You can actually see grinder marks here if you look closely. It's probably going to be hard to get it in the footage here though. What else? Oh yeah, another thing that's kind of cool. I mean, they had to have been riding on the other side of the law. But I think this car also carried a few passengers. The headliner's been torn out for a long time, but look how this roof bows down on the passenger side. I think whoever was jumping out of the back seat must have grabbed onto that every time. It's going to be fun to fix that one. Oh, now, looking at the second bullet hole, the reason... Oh, sorry, dropped my phone. That hit... Where did it hit here? Let's see. Okay, right there. You can see it hit right there. And that's why it didn't go through. I don't think it's lodged in there. We looked for the bullet before. I believe if it was, it probably fell out the side there. Okay, so let's look underneath the car while we're here. The torsion bar cross member. No pans. It's a 4-speed floor hump. Okay. See all that? Pretty clean. Another thing, I want to show the original brake rotors too real quick. Just got these powder coated. These actually mic'd out and they still have like 50 thousandths over the minimum size. But if you see the new rotors they sell for this car, they're a one-piece rotor. This is the original two-piece that's held together with the wheel studs. So we got them powder coated. I'm going to get them machined and then put those back on the car. What else do we want to look at? The trunk. Original undercoating. It's a little rough. But realistically, the only thing that needs to be replaced is that center section. All this original paint and everything. Just something banged there. Probably toolbox or something. Check out the back panel. That paint's all the ridge. I think it looks pretty cool. So yeah, put it in the comments. Do you think we should paint the car, put it on a rotisserie, or just leave it alone? Underside of the trunk lid. There's some runs. There's a crack. Looks like a stress crack. There's a dent too. Must have had to break in. Maybe they used a pry bar to try to break in. Wanted to ask a question too. If anybody's dealt with these Dana 60s, see that dent right there? I don't know if that's factory or if they bottomed out on a rock or something. If anybody knows, please leave it in the comments. And there's this little mark right here too. So I don't know if they did that at the factory. I was going to try to look in there, see if it looks like it's dented in. But I think we can see the number, whoa, the date codes on the ring gear here. (6/20/69), and right there it says 410, 41-10 for the 410 gear ratio. So that's where we're at with it. Car is fully taken apart, except for all the body panels are still on it. Please leave some comments. See what you think. Should we paint it or just put it back together? We're this close to putting it on a rotisserie if we were going to go that way with it. Thanks for watching.